Hello guys, this is just a how-to video on how to skip. So for a lot of you, you probably know how to skip already from your childhood or when you're younger, but some people aren't as good at skipping. So the level of like skipping different from person to person. This is just gonna be a beginner video. So for people that are new to skipping, one, you obviously need a rope, so you can buy these on like Amazon or like your local Sports Direct. So I'll say if you have no experience in skipping at all, you can forget the rope, and then it's just to get into that plyometric movement, which is just to just jump up and down, pretty much like this, and then do it to a certain tempo. So you can either use like a metronome. So go on YouTube, type in like a metronome, which is just like a kind of sound. And with that sound, you'll be able to just get into that skipping rhythm. So once you get into that skipping rhythm, simple thing, rope here, and then you imitate that movement that you did with the metronome, jumping up and down, but skipping. So then there's different ways of doing things. So you have the bunny hops here, and then after the bunny hops, I'd say to progression skipping is to go into like an interval um kind of motion. So it'll be like this. The calmer you are skipping, the better you will be. And then after a while, you can either go high knee or go faster. And then that's basically the basics. It's a very good movement. It helps you burn a lot of calories in a shorter amount of time, and it brings out your heart rate up. It also helps with like your buoyancy and makes you light on your feet, as it is a plyometric movement where you have to do loads of small jumps, which can help and transfer into your athletic ability or transfer into other areas of your life where you'll be able to just like improve like your posture and help you overall. One of the common problems or things I've seen with people skipping or what people have told me when they have experiences with skipping is they either get like calf cramps or calf pain, or even the front of their shins, they get shin splints. And that's usually because when you're skipping and you're doing this movement, you're kind of going to like a dorsiflexion and plantar flexion. And if your muscles or the muscles in these kind of areas are weak, it will start to hurt. So if the pain is too much, I'd say use accessory exercises like calf raises, or stretch your calves out by doing the calf stretch where you just go and stretch each of your calves. So once we get the beginner bits out of the way, and now you've got a good pace in your skipping, and you're able to do a simple movement where you're able to go skip for about, let's say, 3 minutes or 2 minutes without stopping, you'll be able to add more variation to your skipping. So there's different ways of doing things. So there's the crossover, and I'd recommend for a crossover is to kind of lift your palms up and then cross over your arms. At the start, you will start making mistakes and hitting yourself, but after a while, you'll be able to cross over without any issue. So there's that. So it's pretty much a simple crossover yourself. After crossing over, I'd say that then you can progress into the double under. So this is basically a simple going over the skipping rope twice in one go. So that's pretty simple. So the double under, the most important thing is to not lift your legs up. Whilst you will go over twice, you won't be able to do that continuously while skipping. So to do a double under, it's literally like a pike jump whilst you just go over yourself twice. And it's all about timing and rhythm. So if you think about that metronome I mentioned earlier in your head, literally, I made a mistake there, but you literally have that rhythm. And on top of double unders, you can do simple moves and evolutions on top of that. So there is the, if you forgive me, there is the one movement where you go and you literally just, I don't even know what this one's called, to be fair. Just find the name. And then once you finish all of those, you can start mixing it up. So you can just start with simple bunny hops, then you can mix it up, then high knees, then double lunges, then and crossovers, then the crossover under. So there's so many things you can do. There's so many combinations, and you can start going crazy. Start doing the Mike Tyson squats. That's what I call them, where you squat down and you skip. You can go really fast with it, but that's the whole thing about skipping. You can vary it. You can vary it. There's so many variables, so many different things you can do with it. There's one more thing I forgot to add, and that is once you guys do get a rope, it's cutting it. So a lot of problems people have with skipping, especially when they're new to skipping, is that their rope length isn't optimal for them. So they tend to have a skipping rope that is too long. And a long skipping rope, while you're able to get away with it, it won't help you as much as a skipping rope your size. A lot of it is when a skipping rope is too long, it will bounce back and then go up against you, and that can make it worse for you when it comes to snagging the skipping rope. The second problem is when a skipping rope is too short. At one point, it will just hit the back of your head. This is a bit too long to describe it to you, but when you jump, it'll hit the back of your head. It might hit you, and you won't be able to skip as well. Some people do recommend like a slightly shorter skipping rope than usual, because that way it makes you focus on proper technique and form if you have like less of a margin to play with. And some people recommend longer because you have more of a margin to play with, and you'll be able to get away with more, meaning that you'll be able to skip for longer without hitting yourself or snagging or making mistakes. Now, for me, I would say just get one that's perfect for your size. A good way of measuring it is to kind of step on the skipping rope and have it against you. It should reach armpit line. And once you have something like that to your armpit line, the skipping rope is long enough for you. So armpit line, and that's a way to test the size of one. So you cut it. I'd say always you can either measure it or cut it a little bit longer and then test it out. So if you forget about the measuring or the method of measuring, you can just cut it and test it and cut bit by bit until you feel like it's perfect. So I'd say cut it a little bit longer than you'd expect. To cut your skipping rope, each skipping rope has something like this. So you open it up, then you see the end of a skipping rope, and most skipping ropes make it longer to measure. So you have these are just little stops for your skipping rope, and then you can just cut these with a pair of scissors, push it back in, and close it. Final note, and this is the end of note, are weighted skipping ropes, and these are just heavier skipping ropes than usual. So it just focuses on like your forearms, or it makes things heavier, making it harder. The only thing is the skipping part I think is actually slightly easier with weighted skipping ropes, and the reason why it's easier is because you're using momentum. Mass moves mass. So the more momentum you have, the easier it is for you to go over. So there's that. But what makes it harder is keeping up and keeping it consistent. So after a while, your form will slouch because the heavier thing, it's way harder to do double unders with a heavier skipping rope. Recommendations: once you get better at skipping and you want to give yourself a bit of a challenge, I'd say a weighted skipping rope is definitely something that I would recommend. The only thing I would also give as like a precaution is that the regular skipping rope here is something that will help in terms of speed. So if you want to get faster, I'll definitely recommend one. I'll say mix it up. Sometimes you go with the regular, sometimes you go with the weighted, or have days where you use the regular one so that you can focus on being faster, focus on the speed, focus on different techniques, and have the weighted one so that you can focus on strength-based things. So a best of both is definitely recommended. On top of that, that's pretty much everything that I can tell you about skipping. Um, there are loads of like YouTube videos, and there's a gym, well, not a gym page, there's a skipping page of a guy that's really good at skipping. I forgot the page, unfortunately, so I can't even shout it out, but I'll probably put in like a link below. It's someone that like can actually recommend things on skipping. If you do like a sport, like a fighting sport or a martial art or something like boxing, you have loads of people in your gym or like coaches that will show you ways of skipping. So there's loads of support out there. But this video, I hope, is informative enough to teach you the basics of skipping. well, thank you for watching and watch my other stuff. And there's loads of gym advice on there. So if you follow Just Gym and follow me on my Instagram, which is just_gym. And what else? That's really it. My Instagram and my TikTok, Just Gym. I forgot about my TikTok. So yeah, please follow those pages.